They thought you were weak, but God is stepping in for you. Listen closely. This is not a coincidence. You didn't find these words by accident. Something unseen has been shifting around you, and the timing is exact. They looked at you and misjudged everything. They saw your silence and called it surrender. They saw your patience and mistook it for fear. They saw your wounds and assumed defeat. But heaven saw something else entirely. Right now, there is a holy interruption forming in your life. You've been underestimated for a long time. People spoke about you in rooms you were never invited into. They questioned your strength, your calling, your future. Some smiled to your face while quietly preparing for your downfall. Others dismissed you completely, assuming you would never rise beyond what they could see. And for a moment, even you wondered if they were right. But you are not weak. You were restrained. You were being held back not by failure, but by divine timing. What felt like delay was protection. What felt like loss was separation. God was removing you from places and people that could not go where you are being taken. That season of silence was not punishment, it was preparation. Pay attention now, because the shift has begun. What they used to mock will soon be the very thing they cannot ignore. The strength you carry was never meant to be loud at first. It was meant to mature, to deepen, to become unshakable. While they were watching your surface, God was fortifying your core. While they were counting your setbacks, heaven was counting your endurance. And now, intervention is happening. There is a moment approaching where what you've held inside will be revealed without you having to explain anything. You won't need to defend yourself. You won't need to prove your worth. God Himself is stepping into the situation they thought they controlled. Doors they closed are about to open without their permission. Plans made against you are already unraveling. You may feel it already, a pressure in the spirit, a restlessness that doesn't feel like anxiety but anticipation. Something is about to break loose. The same people who doubted you will soon be confused by how quickly things change. They expected you to fold. Instead, you're about to stand taller than ever. Stay alert. This is the phase where distractions increase. Old temptations resurface. Familiar voices try to pull you back into smaller thinking. That's not random. It's resistance. When breakthrough is close, opposition becomes louder. But do not retreat now. Do not dim yourself to make others comfortable. What God is about to do through you requires courage, not permission. Even your pain had purpose. Every tear trained your discernment. Every betrayal sharpened your wisdom. Every lonely night strengthened your connection to God. You didn't survive all that just to remain hidden. You survived because you were chosen to rise with authority, clarity, and spiritual weight. And here's what they don't see yet, but soon will. God is about to expose truth. Lies spoken about you will collapse under their own weight. False narratives will crumble without you lifting a finger. What was hidden in the dark is coming into the light, and when it does, your name will be cleared in ways you never imagined. Remain humble, but do not shrink. If this message is resonating, let it anchor you. Stay connected. Stay present. There is more unfolding than you can currently see, and what comes next will explain everything you endured. You are closer than you think. Because the next shift doesn't just change your situation, it changes how everyone sees you. And what is about to be revealed will shock them all. Something is being rearranged behind the scenes right now, and you can feel it even if you can't name it yet. The pressure you've been under lately isn't meant to crush you, it's meant to reposition you. When God steps in, He doesn't always announce Himself with noise. Sometimes He moves quietly, shifting one detail at a time, until suddenly nothing looks the same anymore. You are in that moment. They assumed your stillness meant surrender, but heaven knew it was discipline. You learned how to hold your ground without shouting, how to endure without becoming bitter. That restraint built authority in you. And authority, once released, changes environments instantly. This is why things have felt tense lately. Not bad, just charged. Like the air before lightning strikes. What you didn't see was how closely you were being watched. Every time you chose integrity over revenge, strength was added to you. Every time you didn't react when you could have, clarity was sharpened in you. People thought you were losing because you weren't fighting the way they would. But God was training your hands for a different kind of victory, one that wouldn't leave you empty afterward. Now listen carefully. There is a reversal coming that will feel sudden to others but will make perfect sense to you. The same situations that drained you will soon start feeding you. The same places that rejected you will begin to request you. And the same voices that doubted you will be forced to adjust their tone. Not because you demanded respect, but because God established it. You've been carrying a weight that wasn't always yours. Expectations. Projections. Other people's insecurities placed on your shoulders. That weight is about to be lifted. You're stepping into a season where clarity replaces confusion, where peace replaces constant inner warfare. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. And here's the part that may surprise you. Some of the resistance you faced didn't come from enemies. It came from people who once had access to you but couldn't control you anymore. Your growth disrupted their comfort. Your healing threatened their narrative. So they labeled you difficult, distant, changed. But what they really meant was, you were no longer small enough to manage. God saw every hidden intention. Nothing slipped past Him, not the manipulation, not the silent competition, not the prayers spoken against you in disguise. And still, He told you to wait. Not because He ignored it, but because timing matters. Judgment delivered too early can damage what's meant to mature. But now, the season of waiting is ending. You may notice conversations shifting, energy changing, people reaching out unexpectedly. This isn't coincidence. It's alignment. God is lining up witnesses for what He's about to do in your life. When the elevation happens, there will be no confusion about where it came from. Stay grounded. Pride will try to knock at your door disguised as validation. Don't let it in. You didn't endure all that to become hardened. You endured it to become clear. Keep your heart clean and your spirit alert. What's coming requires discernment, because not everyone who applauds you later deserves access again. There's a difference between recognition and reconciliation. You are not being raised to go backward. You are being positioned to move forward with wisdom. God is giving you eyes to see patterns you once ignored. This time, you won't mistake familiarity for safety. You won't trade peace for nostalgia. You won't silence your intuition to keep the peace. That's growth. And growth is uncomfortable to those who benefited from the old version of you. You might be tempted to explain yourself soon. To clarify, to defend, to tell your side of the story. Resist that urge. Silence, at this stage, is not weakness, it's strategy. God is preparing a reveal that won't require your words. The truth will surface on its own, and when it does, it will be undeniable. Rest in that. If this message is stirring something in you, let it settle. Let it root. Stay connected, stay attentive. There are instructions coming, subtle, but specific. The next steps will require obedience more than effort, faith more than force. Because the shift you're entering isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about stepping fully into who you were always meant to be. And what happens next will confirm, beyond doubt, that God has already gone ahead of you, setting the stage for a moment no one saw coming. What's about to unfold will explain why you had to endure everything up to this point, and why the real test hasn't even begun yet. You are standing at the edge of a turning point, and the reason your spirit feels restless is because the ground beneath you is no longer stable in the way it once was. God is dismantling what can't support where you're going. What feels like uncertainty is actually clearance. Space is being made. Old frameworks are breaking apart so something stronger can be established through you. This is where many people panic, but you were prepared for this. They thought your endurance meant you were numb. They thought your kindness meant you lacked boundaries. They thought your faith meant you were naive. But they never saw the discipline behind your calm, the fire behind your restraint, the clarity behind your compassion. You learned when to speak and when to wait. You learned when to move and when to stand still. That discernment is now becoming visible. There is a confrontation coming, not necessarily with people, but with truth. Truth about why things unfolded the way they did. Truth about who was meant to walk with you and who was only meant to teach you. Truth about the strength you carry that you once tried to minimize so others wouldn't feel threatened. God is bringing you face to face with that truth because you can no longer afford to underestimate yourself. Hear this clearly. The season of shrinking is over. You are not being arrogant when you step into what God has placed inside you. You are being obedient. What once felt too big for you now fits because you've grown into it. The pressure you survived expanded your capacity. The battles you didn't choose trained your authority. And now, the mantle you carry is activating. This is why resistance will spike right before release. Expect misunderstandings. Expect last-minute complications. Expect people to test boundaries you've already outgrown. That doesn't mean you're doing something wrong, it means the old order is trying to hold on. But it won't last. What God has decreed over your life is already in motion, and no amount of doubt, internal or external, can reverse it. There is also something else happening quietly. Your perception is sharpening. You're noticing details you once overlooked. Patterns, motives, timing. You're becoming less reactive and more intentional. That's not emotional distance, that's maturity. You're learning how to observe without absorbing. How to engage without entangling. That skill will protect you in the season ahead. Because elevation doesn't just bring favor, it brings visibility. And not all attention is meant to be welcomed. God is teaching you discernment at a higher level now. Who gets access? Who gets information? Who gets your time? You are not called to explain your decisions to everyone. Some will accuse you of changing. Let them. You didn't go through transformation to remain understandable to people who refuse to grow. You are being refined for impact. There will be moments soon where you're asked to step forward when you'd rather stay quiet. Opportunities will present themselves that feel bigger than your comfort zone. Don't mistake discomfort for disqualification. Expansion always stretches before it settles. God is not asking you to be fearless, He's asking you to be faithful. And here's the shift most people won't notice at first. You are no longer fighting for survival. You are being trained for leadership. That changes everything. The way you respond. The way you choose. The way you recover. Your trials are no longer about whether you'll make it through, they're about how you'll steward what comes next. This is why the attacks were strategic. The enemy didn't come for what you had, he came for what you were becoming. But he failed. You're still here. Still standing. Still listening. Still moving forward even when the path felt unclear. That alone disqualifies every lie spoken over your life. Now, momentum is building. Small wins will begin stacking quickly. Doors will open with less resistance. Conversations will carry more weight. You'll notice people responding differently to your presence. That's not ego, it's authority being recognized. When God backs you, environments shift without explanation. Stay humble. Stay alert. Do not rush the process now that things begin to move. Speed without discernment can undo what patience built. Move when instructed. Pause when prompted. Trust the inner knowing that's been sharpened through hardship. You are not guessing anymore, you are sensing. And sensing is enough. If you've been feeling called to deepen your connection, to stay tuned in, to remain aligned, follow that instinct. This is not the time to disconnect. This is the time to remain attentive, anchored, present. What you're stepping into requires clarity of spirit and steadiness of heart. Because there is a moment approaching where your obedience intersects with God's timing. When it happens, you'll realize the waiting wasn't wasted. The silence wasn't empty. The pain wasn't pointless. It was all positioning you for a reveal that will silence doubt, not just in others, but in you. And when that reveal begins, there will be no turning back. What comes next will demand a decision that changes everything. And the choice you make in that moment will determine how far this elevation truly goes. Something is about to be required of you, not effort, not striving, but alignment. This is the stage where many blessings are delayed, not because God withholds them, but because people hesitate when clarity arrives. You are entering a moment where instructions will be simple, yet obedience will feel costly. Not because it's wrong, but because it asks you to let go of what you once leaned on. This is the separating line. You've outgrown certain roles, relationships, and routines, and deep down you already know it. That quiet discomfort you've been feeling is not dissatisfaction, it's discernment. Your spirit recognizes that staying where you are would now require compromise. And God will never ask you to betray what He refined in you just to maintain familiarity. Pay attention to what no longer fits. Conversations that drain you. Environments that shrink you. Patterns that once felt safe but now feel heavy. These are not attacks, they are signals. God is making it uncomfortable to remain where grace has lifted. He is not punishing you. He is preparing you. This is where strength looks different. In the past, strength meant enduring, holding on, surviving. But in this season, strength means choosing. Choosing peace over people-pleasing. Choosing truth over approval. Choosing obedience over explanation. You don't need to announce your decisions. You don't need to justify your boundaries. The same God who called you will defend you. And yes, some will misunderstand. They will say you've changed. That you've become distant. That you think you're better than them. Let them speak. Their words are revealing their expectations, not your identity. You were never meant to remain accessible to everyone. You were meant to be effective where God places you. Understand this clearly. Not everyone who supported you in survival will be assigned to you in elevation. Some people are seasonal, even if they stayed longer than expected. Releasing them doesn't dishonor what was, it honors what is now. God is not asking you to erase the past, but He is asking you not to build your future there. This is a moment of pruning. What looks like loss will actually increase your capacity. What feels like loneliness will sharpen your focus. What seems like delay will align your timing. God is removing noise so you can hear direction without confusion. The next steps require clarity, not chaos. And clarity is coming fast. You may notice sudden conviction about small things: what you watch, what you tolerate, how you speak, who you confide in. This isn't restriction. It's refinement. Authority demands integrity at deeper levels. Where you're going, compromise would be costly. God is protecting you from that before it becomes an issue. You are being trusted with more. More influence. More responsibility. More impact. And that trust comes with boundaries. You can't carry new weight with old habits. You can't step into higher ground while holding on to what anchored you below. This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. There is also a warning wrapped in grace. Do not rush to prove anything. You don't need to display your strength prematurely. Power revealed too early invites unnecessary opposition. Let God unveil you at the right moment. Silence, again, is strategy. Let consistency speak. Let fruit answer questions you no longer need to engage. Watch what happens when you stop over-explaining. Peace will settle. Confusion will lift. You'll feel steadier, not because everything is resolved, but because you are anchored. That anchor is what will carry you through the next wave of movement. Because yes, another wave is coming. This one will test your trust. Opportunities will arise that look good but are misaligned. Invitations will come that flatter but distract. Old doors may reopen, not because they're meant to be re-entered, but to test whether you've truly moved on. Discernment will be crucial here. Not every open door is a divine one. Ask yourself this: does it align with the person I've become? If it pulls you back into confusion, it's not from God. If it requires you to dim your convictions, it's not for you. If it feeds ego but starves peace, walk away. You are no longer guessing, you are guided. And guidance demands courage. Courage to say no when it would be easier to say yes. Courage to wait when impatience whispers shortcuts. Courage to trust God's timing even when you see others moving faster. Remember, speed is not favor. Alignment is. What God is building through you is meant to last. That's why it's being built carefully. That's why foundations are being tested now. That's why you're being asked to choose depth over display. The structure forming in your life will support others one day. God is shaping you not just for personal breakthrough, but for impact beyond yourself. And that responsibility is sacred. If this message feels weighty, it's because it is. But you are not carrying it alone. Grace has already been assigned to this season. Strength will meet you where obedience leads. Provision will follow alignment. You will not be left exposed. Still, there is one final layer ahead. A moment where what you believe will be challenged by what you see. A decision where fear and faith will stand in front of you at the same time. When that moment arrives, you'll understand why everything up to now had to happen exactly as it did. Because the choice you're about to face doesn't just affect your next step. It determines who walks with you into the next chapter, and who watches from a distance when God fully steps in. This is the moment everything tightens into focus. The noise fades. The opinions blur. What remains is a single, steady pull in your spirit, quiet, firm, undeniable. This is not urgency born of fear. This is clarity born of alignment. You are standing where many asked to be but were not prepared to stand, and heaven is watching how you respond now. You are not here by accident. Every step that felt uncertain led you precisely here. Every closed door redirected you. Every delay protected you. And now, the question is no longer whether God will move, it's whether you will move with Him. Because divine intervention does not remove choice. It sharpens it. Look honestly at what's in front of you. One path offers familiarity. It feels safer because you know the terrain, even if it no longer nourishes you. The other path feels exposed. It requires trust. It demands that you step forward without seeing every detail. This is the pattern God has always used with those He elevates. He reveals just enough to require faith, but not so much that you no longer need Him. This is where many hesitate. Not because they don't believe in God, but because they fear losing control. But control has never been your source of security, obedience has. Every time you surrendered what you couldn't manage, peace followed. Every time you trusted when logic failed, provision appeared. This moment is no different. It's simply larger. You may feel the weight of consequence now. You're aware that what you choose will close some doors permanently. That's not loss, that's focus. God is not trimming your life to punish you. He's refining it so nothing essential is diluted. Where you're going, distraction would be dangerous. Divided loyalty would slow you down. Half commitment would cost you clarity. So choose fully. Not emotionally. Not impulsively. But resolutely. Choose with the understanding that God has already gone ahead of you. Choose knowing that obedience has never failed you, even when it felt costly at first. Choose with the confidence that heaven backs what aligns with purpose. There will be reactions. Some will celebrate quietly. Others will question openly. A few will withdraw entirely. Let that happen. You are not responsible for managing how others process your obedience. You are responsible for honoring the call placed on your life. And that call is louder now than it has ever been. You might feel exposed, but you are covered. What looks like vulnerability is actually visibility. God does not hide what He intends to use. He reveals it at the right moment, under the right covering, for the right impact. You are stepping into a season where your presence alone will shift rooms, where your words will carry weight, where your decisions will influence more than you realize. This is stewardship. And stewardship requires courage. You will be tempted to rush ahead once momentum builds. Resist that. Move deliberately. Let discernment guide your pace. God is not impressed by speed, He is honored by obedience. Let each step be anchored. Let each decision be prayed through. This is how you sustain what's coming. Because what's coming is not small. It's not just a breakthrough, it's a repositioning, a redefining, a reintroduction. People who thought they understood you will realize they only knew a chapter, not the story. Those who dismissed you will reconsider in silence. Those who underestimated you will watch God defend you without your involvement. And you will remain steady. Not proud. Not bitter. Just grounded. That steadiness will confuse those who expected you to react. But your peace will be your loudest testimony. It will prove that this elevation didn't come from striving, it came from surrender. Remember this when pressure rises. You are not being tested to see if you're worthy. You are being trusted because you are ready. The fire did not consume you. It refined you. The delay did not weaken you, it strengthened you. The silence did not abandon you, it aligned you. Now, heaven is moving visibly. You will notice confirmations, small at first, then unmistakable. Words spoken by others that echo prayers you never shared. Opportunities that align too perfectly to be coincidence. Doors opening where resistance once stood. These are not accidents. They are affirmations. Stay receptive. Stay humble. Stay obedient. Because the same God who carried you through obscurity is about to establish you in visibility. And when He does, it will be clear to everyone, including you, that this was never about proving others wrong. It was about fulfilling what was always written. And when the full reveal happens, when God's hand becomes undeniable in your life, there will be one final question that rises, not just in the minds of those watching, but in your own heart. Now that heaven has stepped in, are you ready for what God is about to entrust to you next?